Chris Level here with another edition of Pirate Talk. My man Chip Darden, the head coach of the Lubbock Cooper Pirates. We missed last week. The days were kind of off a little bit. It was my fault. My apologies. Coach Darden was like just maintaining that we keep a schedule. I couldn't do it. I'll take the blame for that, but we are back.
I think viewership was actually up.
Okay, probably so. Probably so. Okay, so let's go back to last week. Obviously, playoffs, and that word is you never want to take that word for granted, and you don't ever want to take holding up one of those gold trophies after these, in this case, a by-district win. But take me through El Paso Parkland and cold, semi-rainy, windy evening there at Pirate Stadium, Thursday, early kick. A lot of not normal about that night.
Yeah, first, on what you said right off the bat is 100%. Our guys don't take it for granted. I was really happy to see their excitement for winning that game and getting that gold football. And, you know, the trophy part of it is kind of meaningless, but just winning a playoff game is hard. Yep. And I hope we don't have I know we don't have a team and a coaching staff that takes it for granted. And, I hope overall everybody is proud of that. Winning's hard, and it's hard for these kids to win consistently. We've been very fortunate around here. I think that's 11 straight by-district championships, and that's a pretty neat deal. And I think that's something that everybody should be proud of that's involved, from administrators to parents to fans that are there. Just a neat deal for everybody. So we're very excited about that. But we didn't start the game great, and I think you can make a bunch of excuses about the start time and the day and all that. But ultimately, we weren't totally ready to play. But kind of after that initial about first few minutes, and I thought we really settled in and played a very good game, and the score, indicates that. And that's a Parkland team that is tradition rich. They've been in the playoffs a lot. They've been several rounds deep. They beat us. I think it was the 2017 season they beat us in the playoffs, and it was our fourth time to play them. So they were a team that we knew wouldn't be intimidated coming in here. They have been in these games before, and anyway, it took us just a little bit to get settled in. Once we did, I thought we played a great game.
I think you said something after the game was over too about, there's a lot of players on your team. This was their first playoff win, but you singled out one in particular that is a new member of your program, and Jaden Hibbler, that I guarantee he didn't take it for granted because he'd never been part of a postseason win before. Yeah,
he was pretty excited, and he told us during the week, didn't even think about it. And I can't remember, we were talking to him about their focus and how, this time of year, that's just the key. The mental side of it is so important this time of year. If you can just stay mentally locked in for this many weeks in a row. And then he just kind of said, "Hey, Coach, this is my first playoff game ever. I'm as excited as can be." And I thought, wow, I didn't even think about that with him. So, yeah, it was neat. And like you said, there were some guys that were on the freshman team or the JV team last year, and this is their first one. We've got other kids that had moved in, and just think it was a pretty special night. And I think it's special that we get to do it on our home field. Seniors get that extra game where, senior night was emotional, but they got one more. And to me, both of those games, I'm not going to do the math in my head, but the combined score on senior night and then their actual last game is pretty good way to go out.
Pretty good. And that's a great point about Hibbler, in that they what do they say about perspective? You either have it or you need it. And that's one of those things, I'm sure, a lot of people. But he had it last week, and anyway, for a variety of different reasons, and he's one of your better players. He obviously had a good night, but I would be remiss if we didn't really mention Cal Ritz's night.
Yeah.
To not play offense and to score 3 touchdowns is pretty impressive. And, we're going to go through, a kick return and 2 pick sixes, I believe. But that's pretty fun, and that's what he's always been capable of.
Yeah. And, frustrating is not the word, because Cal's having fun. He's impacting games. But when you score, he scored touchdowns every year, offense and defense. And, I mean defense and special teams mainly. But this year's just been different. I think teams have kind of schemed away from him on offense, and then they've been kicking away from him a lot. And we've got, guys that are helping him in the return game, that making us explosive. But anyway, he might tell you he's frustrated or has been, but it was nice to see finally him have one click all the way and him make some big plays because, like I said, he's been impacting games. But the kick return I thought was the play of the game. We started the game, got a real short field, and we didn't execute at a high level, had a couple false starts, still scored, but then they march it right down the field and score on us. And I think they had a whole lot of momentum. I felt our sideline kind of deflated. That early kickoff, it was kind of a late arriving crowd. And anyway, all the way, it just wasn't, atmosphere didn't feel like playoff atmosphere at that point until Cal returned the kickoff. And that was just a huge play in the game. And you could just see almost a sigh of relief from Cal, like, okay, I still got this. I'm still one of the fastest kids around. And I think he's just going to take off, hopefully. I think he'll take, and we will take 3 more touchdowns this week.
You mentioned confidence, the mentality. You also talked about this time of year staying engaged, staying locked in. It's been a long season.
Yeah.
You hope to continue it. But how much of what you're doing this time of year is upstairs?
Yeah.
I mean, because you've even talked about, for reasons, shorter practices, fresher legs. But how much is the –
Yeah, that's a ton. And we talked about that this week. The team that we're playing this week, think that's where they gain an advantage on a lot of people is they're not tired of practicing. When you get to the game, when you get to an area championship, name the playoff, the game part of it, everybody's excited to be there. You're not going to get anybody not excited for that. But who's good to go up Monday morning and do early morning weights and scouting report? And I think that can't be overstated that you get some people, some coaches, some athletes that kind of tired of it, like, I'm good. And when that happens, and that's when you usually get beat. And I don't think we've seen that out of our kids. They're hungry. They want to keep playing. They want some Thanksgiving football. I always say that I've never been a part of state championship prep, but to me, Thanksgiving practices would be the second best week of practices. And state championship, I would think, would be a little more fun. But it's a fun week, and we want to try to get there. And I think that's what our guys mentally have done. And, you mentioned the shortened practices. What we're going to do now, there's tweaks for every team. There's some definite tweaks this week that we're going to do and some changes. But for the most part, what you're going to do. So it's about executing at a high level, having fresh legs. And I think sometimes that upstairs part, when you're not practicing as hard and quote-unquote grind, when they don't feel like it's a grind every day, then I think you do get quality reps. And when Friday rolls around, they're ready to play.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what – and sometimes you just tell them, hey, you have fresh legs, and they believe it,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah, that's right.
Absolutely.
You got, I think, close to 70 players in this game. How important is that? Because I remember a year ago it was something very, very similar, and I just think you get a little taste for kids that haven't gotten to play a lot, and it's not only – playing, but it's in a playoff game.
Yeah.
I mean, they were a part of whatever playoff run you're about to go on here.
Absolutely, and they're a big part. Everybody is, from our JV to our freshman team that do a lot of stuff for the program. But it's nice to get guys reps and for me, meaningful reps. There's a difference in going in the last play and we're taking a knee on the last play. We got guys a lot of reps where we are running our offense, our defense, and there's no change to the game plan. And I think that's the biggest thing, getting those guys, and that develops depth. It's really 2 weeks in a row we've been able to play a lot of kids and feel confident in a lot that Friday night we need somebody to roll in early. We feel confident in doing that. So, and I could point out some guys that did a great job. There's a whole bunch of them. I thought we had a whole lot of guys that took advantage of reps and was proud to see that.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Your biggest though takeaway from last week was what? Just obviously the win. You get a lot of kids in there. You get to play it a day earlier than normal. But is there any other big takeaway that you had from just win? Because it's 57-7 at the half. A lot of people are going to look at this from the outside and go, the result was a foregone conclusion. That you got to be careful about that. But you handled your business.
Yeah.
But is there a big takeaway there that you had?
Well, I think combining the week before, we go into the Amarillo Caprock game with nothing to play for is a bad way to look at it. We have a lot to play for. It's a game. It's an opportunity to play a football game. But our seeding didn't matter. We were going to play El Paso Parkland if Caprock had beat us by 50. It didn't matter. And so for us to handle that and then turn around and on a short week have a playoff game that and our guys here, they see predictions and all that, and there was predictions of we might win big, and I just think the way they handled both of those weeks back to back and played at a high level, and that was our focus. We want to be playing our best football right now, no matter the opponent, no matter where it is, time of day of the week, doesn't matter. Let's play our best football, and to me, that's the biggest takeaway is we're on the right track towards that.
Aren't predictions like twofold?
Yeah, 100%.
You love them and hate them.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
I like to use them when we can use them.
but sometimes, okay, you're supposed to roll, and it's like, oh, don't look at that, guys. Yeah, we don't.
No
this
doubt.
isn't the prediction week. We don't want to look at that. Did your season, as we look back on the year and getting to this point though, and I looked this up earlier just because I thought I was right, but did your season kind of turn where you are about to go this weekend in Wichita Falls?
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, go look at what Ryder has done, folks. The rest of the entire year, before it, after it, and all that, they've lost 2 games. Mm-hmm. The only other loss they have is to Stephenville. Everybody knows about Stephenville. They lost to that game on 1 point. They have rolled everybody else. You walk in there on a Friday night, or maybe it was Thursday night. Excuse me. Sorry. Yeah.
I got it. Hey, I got
Rusty,
it.
week
I'll
off.
take care of it.
Yeah, I'm rusty. 1 week off. But you go in there on a Thursday night, and it was just, and you've really kind of never looked back from that. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think so. I didn't know if you were going to say that or Abilene. Getting beat there at Shotwell kind of flipped too.
But you played well there.
We did,
and that was a really good team. They went on to win the
Yeah.
district. But I mean, I just think that it's been a different style and brand of football since that. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think we matured. We went on losing 2 games by 1 point right before Ryder, and then you turn around on a short week, and it's kind of like we're gonna really find out like if we're gonna have to totally flip things upside down and not start over might be a bad way to look at it, but just we're gonna have to revamp some stuff big time, or if that was the turning point. And I think our kids, and I've mentioned to them several times, but I think how they showed up that Monday of Ryder was really telling to us. We didn't walk in and we're 1-2 and kind of hanging heads. It was ready to go to work, ready to practice, ready to prep, and then the result happened on Thursday. So I agree. I think our kids are comfortable playing in Wichita Falls, and a little bit of why we don't mind going back there. And I think we play well there. So that was a turning point. Hopefully we can keep it rolling.
Okay, so now we turn the page. You're round 2. Now it's for an area championship, the area round, the second round. You kind of, weeks ago, everybody kind of started looking at things. You kind of knew the way this thing may go. Aledo, when I say that, that's their number 1 team in the state. They're 11-0. They've won the state championship 13 times. They won it last year. You guys have faced them in the playoffs. What do you think there?
Yeah, they've won 25 straight games. Last year they started 0-2, then won 14 straight, and now won 11 this year. Pretty impressive to win 25 straight games with, especially some of the people that they play. State championships, they've won 4 of the last 5, and the one they lost or didn't win was lost to South Oak Cliff in the 3rd round, who we ended up playing in the state semifinals that year. And just to me, the most historic, I would say, Texas high school football program, any classification. I think when you think of Texas high school football, Aledo is number 1. They to me, they're just the prestige and everything that comes with them. So you look at this year's team of theirs, and you're probably going to ask me about them a little bit, but it looks a lot like all their other teams. They've got talent everywhere. In places that maybe they're not Division I talent, Division I height and weight. There's somebody that just plays extremely hard, that does their job at a high level. I think these guys have been running this offense and defense since they were probably 2 years old. It seems like they don't make mistakes, and so it's a challenge. Now I think it's a challenge that our kids want. I think something that our kids have taken is that it doesn't really matter when you play them. Play them in the state semifinals, play them in the 1st round, 2nd round. Doesn't matter if you want to win a state championship. At some point, you got to Aledo's going to be there. So our kids are excited about it. They didn't like how it went last year. Didn't think we played our best game, but Aledo also has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, let's go back to that game last year a little bit. The Mustang Bowl there in Sweetwater. Not a great start, but I will say a pretty good finish. The score obviously ends up being, I think it was at 45-21. But your option game worked. You ran for nearly 300 yards against these guys. Is there anything that you can take from that game, or what do you remember about that one? And obviously, you can't turn it over.
I mean, ultimately, if you're down, Friday night, if we're down 28-0 at half, it's probably over, and that's what it was last year, and that was the thing. We needed a fast start last year. We needed at least a solid start. They scored the first 2 plays, and anyway, they were up 14-0 pretty quick. So we didn't, I don't think, played a great game. We did have some success. We stopped them a few times in the first half. Second half we didn't, but second half we moved the ball a little bit. So they're just a complete team, and that's what they were last year. I told the guys I was pretty confident last year after they beat us, and it doesn't make it any better, but said y'all just lost to the state champ, and they had 4 games to win, but you could just tell. You can tell how they operate, how they were doing things, that they were going to be the state champs, and sure enough they were. So they're loaded. They've got, and I can't remember the number, they lost a few O-linemen, but something about like 8 starters back on offense. They've got about 6 back on defense from that team that we saw firsthand. So, if we do some of that stuff that we did last year, we didn't tackle very well. We turned the ball over and misexecuted some stuff. If we do that, they can make it a long night.
Their quarterback is obviously kind of makes it go. Hoss Haney, he's committed to TCU. Not the biggest guy, but he's certainly fast and got some twitch to him. And I think he's thrown 20 touchdown passes and 70% completion rate, a couple thousand yards, all that. Take me through him. Is this the best quarterback you will have faced this year? Yeah,
he'll just be one of the best players that we've played or could play all year. I think one of the things, he had the speed last year was evident, and first play of the game, they run a quarterback read that he goes for about 60. So we saw it from the first play of the game last year. But this year it seems like he's breaking more tackles. He's a little bit thicker, put on a little weight, and then I think with that, the zip on his ball has been pretty impressive. So he's what makes them go. They're good. I mean, we can go through, I think, every position. We can go through all 11 offensive position players and talk about how good they are. But he makes them go. I mean, he's the guy. There's a reason he's going to a Big 12 school to play quarterback. He's that talented. Comes from a family that's Division I, mom and dad. It's funny because my dad being a girls basketball coach, my dad coached against his mom in a regional tournament, and one of the best players my dad's coached against. And just a family, a very athletic family, and he's the real deal. Again, they've got other pieces too, but I think it all revolves around him.
And one of the other things, and this is a compliment, but they don't really run a lot of complex.
No.
On either side of the ball. I mean, it's pretty much this is what we do. We're not going to try to out trick you or gadget you or whatever, but we're going to just do some of these basics and concepts better than we think you can stop them. Is that fair?
Oh yeah. They out execute people. I mean, and don't get me wrong, they're really good. Like the
players,
talent, the players are good, but the schemes. It is about their execution level, and that's what I was saying. I feel like they've been running it forever. You pretty well know how they're going to line up. You pretty well know the formations and the plays that are coming, and you got to be better than them at it, and that's hard to do.
Is this for your kids? Is this about belief and knowing that they can go get this done?
Yeah, I mean, and I think our kids do. I don't think that they know the task. They know the type of team that Aledo has. But we got to come out and play free and play like we have. To me, like you said, that turning point in Game 4, we got to come out and play just like we have in those games, and we've come out and competed in every single game. So that's the goal, and we'll see where it gets us.
Is this strange for Jaden Kennard at all, since this is where?
Last year was kind of his breakout game.
He had a couple of some of those option runs.
He did. He scored a couple maybe. I know one for sure, and then he rushed for over 100 yards and. he kind of battled some injury last year was the deal, and he'd finally gotten healthy about that time. But yeah, I think he still communicates with those guys a little bit and has buddies that are on Aledo's team. But I think last year was probably a bigger deal on that front. But I think this year it's more about just another game and just playing ball.
What's your favorite part about the playoffs, just in general?
Yeah,
Is it that pit in your stomach that like it's do or die kind of thing, which it can make you sick, but it's the highest of high. I mean, like what is it about the playoffs that you just like? This is what it's all about. I mean,
yeah. There's definitely that where the emotions are ramped up a little bit, but I think more than anything, I love seeing the community come together, like and not that they're not together in the regular season, but there's just something different. Watching how our fans will travel. Anyway, just something about us all being in it all together. And I tell the guys each week that you win the playoffs, there's half the teams that are not in it, and you gain fans, you gain, and maybe not even fans, but you gain followers, people paying attention to your game. And to me, that's the fun part, kind of getting down there, and hopefully we can keep playing for a while and keep gaining some fans.
It's like March Madness kind of.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Coach Buchanan, obviously, that was a longtime head coach at Aledo, I guess, resigned back early in the year, and then Robbie Jones takes over. Yep. He'd been there for forever. I think he's been there 20-plus years, maybe even 24 seasons. He's been a part of Aledo football. Have they changed at all? Are they the same? You mentioned schemes and all that stuff, but, I mean, do you notice a difference, or that's just the next guy in charge?
Yeah.
Just away we go.
I think Coach Jones has had a big part in what they're doing the last few years. So, no, you don't see a whole lot of difference. They're doing a lot of the same stuff, kind of scheming people in the same ways. And so not a whole lot of change. And you can see with being 11-0, I mean, it's kind of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And so,
and it's not broken.
That's exactly right. So, no, a lot of the same stuff. Coach Jones doing a really good job, and really enjoyed getting to talk with him. It's be the first time I've met him, but our conversations throughout the week have been good. You can tell he's doing it the right way, and just kind of keeping the ball rolling over there.
You go with all black uniform. So first of all, like, is it a coin flip on home or away? How does that work?
It's funny, and technology has changed that a little bit. But typically, what you do is somebody picks a school or a town. And,
I remember. Okay, tell me this.
And you do odd or even on the zip code. So, like, if you were doing it, and you would say shallow water, I say odd, and yep. 79363. There you go. So I win it because I said odd. So one coach picks the town, the other one says odd or even, and then so that keeps you from having to drive to do a coin flip. But now there's some of us that will do like FaceTime and somebody will actually flip a coin just to work, because with technology too, sometimes you don't know somebody typing in the name and figuring it out, and then the funny one, Coach Bendel at Ryder, we had played them 4 times in a row in the playoffs. So we got to the point in the playoffs, I can't remember if it was the last time we played them. We're trying to figure out home and away, and it was actually his idea, but there was a big college game that Saturday or something, maybe the Tech game. He said, let's do odd or even on that final score. And so one of us picked, and it was just the final score. There's just no way to cheat that,
Yeah, that's right.
And I think when it's not that important, like, home and away isn't that big a deal for us.
Okay, but
interesting.
You win it.
We won it. Chose home.
And so you get to be home, and
mainly those helmets. We've got those helmet deals, and home was big, so we can wear the black helmet. We don't have to change them out.
You don't have to take them off. Yeah. So who gets to be captain for this game? Like, how do you pick that? Is that strategic? Is that
far as who we're?
Yeah, who? I mean, because I know you already have your captains,
right?
But they don't all get to go. Do they
I let them choose that.
Okay.
Yeah, we kind of talk about who walks out, and I don't know how they do it. I don't know if they know how they do it.
Okay. Like who talks to the official, and there's like one elected.
Yep.
Anyway, some of that stuff is fun. Well, man, Memorial Stadium, 7:30 Friday night, Aledo. Cooper, and this is for a gold ball, man.
Yep.
And this is a big deal, obviously, and it should be a lot of fun. How did you end up? Was there any other options other than Wichita Falls?
Yeah, kind of, but not for a Friday night. Kind of
Okay.
what we were looking at, where we were at on each list was we might have had to play Thursday.
There's
or
only
Friday
so many
early.
places.
Yeah, there really is.
In between,
We talked about a home and home flip, and ultimately kind of settled on Wichita Falls. We were able to get on that list. Coach Freeman there got us fixed up. So, and the 7:30 kickoff there was a chance of a game in front of us, and once we kind of thought once we pushed that all out, then there's not a game after all, but we're just keeping it at 7:30.
Okay.
So 7:30 kick.
Okay, which is different.
Yeah, it is.
Like 5 o'clock last week was different. Then all the other ones have been straight up 7.
Yep,
so
that'll be good.
Yeah, I'll be good. All right. Well, I mean, this has been a lot of fun. We will see you back here next week, and we'll break down win over Aledo. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Yeah, there you go. For Chris Lovell, for Chip Darden, for Colton Coons behind the camera, who produces all of these, does a great job. This has been another edition of Pirate Talk.